for about.
It's too late for you to tell us you're sorry. You passed that point a long time ago.
More lies.
Perpetuating lies and deception is the only thing that you seem to know.
That's what they do.
You thought that you'd be safe in your town.
Yeah, the ivory towers.
Isolated from the people below.
Yeah, the goyim.
The truth has undermined your foundation.
Can't keep the truth out.
So many people now in the know. You thought that you'd see the day that you could just get away from the ones you betrayed, who raised their voices to say you won't be trusted anymore.
Yeah, that song was written 30 years ago. What's changed? Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Jan's creation. It is Thursday, the 7th of May, 2026. These are the WTF reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and I'm here, WTF, with the facts. And if those facts make you exclaim WTF, well then, so be it. All right, right off the bat, as always, this broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. If you haven't checked it out, please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and a pop-up window will take you to an area where you can read all about the Wave Watch, which is a Rife machine you wear on your wrist. And we all know, hopefully you regular listeners know, about Tesla's technology, Rife technology, and that's why the Wave Watch is so cool, really cool. Anyway, check it out. Go to TheWTFReports.com and check out the Wave Watch. Okay, that said, I got a couple things that I wanted to touch upon today. And right off the bat, I want to share with you a personal experience, okay? And I know maybe some of you will say, Dave, you're an idealist, you're a utopian, whatever. Okay, what's wrong with wanting the ideal? What's wrong with wanting to create utopia? I don't see anything wrong with that. Well, when it threatens the current power structures, I could see why there will be a pushback. But anyway, I digress. Okay, my personal experience. I spent several years living down in Argentina. And the area that I was in, it was in the area of San Rafael, which is about a 2.5-hour drive south of Mendoza. Now, Mendoza is located on the western side of Argentina. Now, Buenos Aires is on the east side, on the Atlantic coast, the South Atlantic coast. Mendoza is almost due west from Buenos Aires, right near the border of Argentina and Chile, and it's separated by the Andes Mountains. Now, south of Mendoza, about a 2.5-hour drive, is the area of San Rafael. Now, San Rafael, the surrounding areas are very, very agricultural. There are two main rivers that go through there, and that provides enough water for all of the agriculture that is being, producing all kinds of produce, et cetera, et cetera. Now, in my time down there, I got to know a bunch of different expats, and when I say expats, I mean people that came from different countries. I mean, there were people there from England, from Scotland, from France, from Germany, Thailand, all over the world. And so it was a very mixed culture of expat communities down there. And there was a couple by the name of Abby and Martin. And they had a finca. A finca, that's Spanish for farm. And on their acreage, they were growing apricots. And like I said, there's many different farms. Some people were, lots of grapes down there. Of course, you've heard of Malbec. Yeah. Oh, gosh, the Malbec down there was insane. It was so good. And, of course, there's all kinds of, there's peaches and there's, all kinds of fruits and agriculture being grown. Anyway, Abby and Martin were growing apricots. And when it comes to be harvest time, all the other fincas out there that happen to be growing apricots, all of a sudden when it's time for the harvest, it's a mad dash to get people out in the fields to harvest the apricots, get them into crates, put the crates on the trucks, and get the trucks down to the buyer. Now, at that particular time, when these apricots were all coming into, they were ripe and ready to be brought to market, all of the farmers would load up their trucks and they make a mad dash to get to the buyers. Now, the buyers, of course, what they do is, the trucks all start to line up to get weighed. A truck will go in, they get weighed, and then they offload all of the apricots, and they weigh the truck again. And according to how many, what tonnage that they got, depends, that's how they get paid. You got so many tons of apricots, okay, and they cut you a check. Okay, that's how it works. The problem here is that if you don't get to the buyer in time, what happens? Well, once they reach their quota, they close the doors. And if you don't get there before they reach their quota, and you've got, like, say, 10 trucks or whatever, and you're all in line to get your truck weighed and get paid, and they shut the door, you're screwed. So what happens? They dump all of the apricots on the side of the road, and they just sit there and they rot. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. And this happens not just with apricots. It also happens with pomegranates and grapes and whatever other commodity that you can think of. And the reason they do that is to keep the price where it is. Now, this is where a resource-based economy comes into play. I mean, this is just a total waste of food. And this is just in the San Rafael area. This happens all over the world, folks. Lots of products, oranges and lemons and limes and, whatever. When the buyers reach a certain level, they shut off buying because they have to protect that price. And as a result, tons and tons, hundreds of thousands of tons of food are dumped on the side of the road and rot, and they waste. How does this make sense? In my mind, it doesn't make sense. And this is where a resource-based economy comes into play. Let's say I grow, whatever. Let's say I'm growing apricots. And I have, let's say I have 100 tons, whatever. I'm just pulling numbers out of my head, okay? Let's say I have 100 tons of apricots. I'm a pretty big grower, okay? Well, what if, dear listeners, what if I could strike a deal with Japan, say, and I'm going to trade my tonnage of apricots to the Japanese, and they, in return, would send me, say, 1,000 big screen TVs, which I can bring to market and sell. Okay? This makes more sense, doesn't it? I mean, this is what a resource-based economy is based upon. Okay? You're dealing, instead of trading in dollars or pesos or yuans or francs or marks or whatever, you trade in your commodity because your commodities have value. So I realize, okay, Dave, yeah, that's idealistic, that's utopian, blah, blah, blah. But you tell me how the current system makes sense. It doesn't. I mean, you think of the famine that's going on all around the world, and all of these different commodities. The farmers grow their crops, et cetera, and then they get there and they can't sell them to protect the price. That doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there, something to think about. And the reason I bring up a resource-based economy is because I want to draw your attention to the work of Jacques Fresco. Jacques Fresco, he's the one who created the Venus Project. And if you're not familiar with the Venus Project, you may want to check that out because it is an absolutely amazing concept. And Jacques Fresco, I mean, I remember he was on with, Larry King back in 1975. We're talking over a half a century ago. And he was touting this concept of a resource-based economy for all this time. And if you want to find out about this, write this down. You could go to YouTube and do a search for the documentary, and it's entitled The Choice is Ours. The Choice is Ours. It was released in 2016, and 10 years ago. And the concepts that Jacques Fresco, I mean, I confidently say that he could very well be classified as the Nikola Tesla of our generation. And I realize that some of the concepts here go directly against capitalism. And some folks might say, oh, that's communistic. I don't care what type of ism that you want to put on the end of that. It just doesn't make sense, the system that we've got going right now with all the resources that get wasted. But then again, it makes sense if you have the corporate mentality. Because corporations are legally obligated to protect their shareholders and their profit margin. In other words, if there's a penny of profit to be made, they are obligated to make the decision to make that penny, even if it means killing their own family and destroying a whole community. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because all of these data centers now that are being pushed on the people all over the country. And I saw a video clip of a meeting that was going on in Utah. And Kevin O'Leary, you know Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank? Yeah, he's behind the data center that's going to be taking up so many acres in Utah. I mean, we're talking, I think they said it was 4 times the size of Manhattan Island. This is a huge swath of land that will be dedicated towards creating these data centers, and they're going to be sucking millions and millions and millions of gallons of water, polluting the environment. I mean, these data centers, and by the way, these data centers are going to be a cancer for, not just your health, but for your freedom. Because these data centers are what are going to be used to be able to track every single one of you, everywhere you go, everything you do, every item that you buy. I mean, that's what these data centers are all about. These are destruction of your freedom. So anyway, I just wanted to throw a couple of concepts out there because we're on some very, very difficult times. And unless we as Americans, as patriots, rediscover our testicular fortitude, we're not going to get out of this. Now, it's going to be real tough because we've got a lot of people out there that just have no clue as to what's going on. And they're willfully, belligerently ignorant. They don't want to know. And you know what I'm talking about. For those of us who are aware, it's painful to hang around with people who all they want to talk about is what happened on the NBA playoff game last night, or the movie that's just about ready to come out, or the gala that would happen in Hollywood. There's just nonsensical, unimportant conversations. And when you have reached a level of awareness, like I said before, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like nothing else makes sense. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you, this little story about Argentina and about agriculture and about the prices of commodities and how the resource-based economy would probably solve a lot of things. Anyway, moving on, I have to be very careful about what I say and what audio clips that I share. Of course, we have this broadcast on BitChute and on Rumble and on Facebook and on YouTube. But unfortunately, some of these platforms have rules that basically tell you what you can and cannot discuss. And unfortunately, some of the things that I've discussed on this broadcast have brought a couple of marks against my account. And I wanted to say, well, wait a second, what did I do wrong? And sometimes they won't even tell you. All that has to happen is anybody can basically contact, if you've got a post on YouTube, all somebody has to do is file some sort of a complaint, or they're offended, or something. And without even any discussion or investigation, they will, bang, put a mark on your account. And after you get a couple marks, they will ban your account. And it's happened to lots of people. There's one guy that posted the following. Here, listen to this poor guy.
So let me get that straight. Israeli IOF soldiers can post their war crimes about shooting little children in the head and brag about how many women they raped and how many people they have slaughtered. But when I speak the truth and I expose their war crimes, my pages get deleted. Make it make sense. So if you see this video and you have noticed that you're not following me anymore, that's because Instagram has deleted all of my accounts. This is my new one, so make sure you follow so we can continue to bless the people of Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Nigeria, and all over the world.
Okay, well, there's one guy that just had his Instagram account. And you know what the funny thing is? You know, I signed up for Instagram, I think like in 2009, 2010, and I've just never used it. So any folks out there that go to Instagram and try to find me, I've got like 5 posts. I just don't, I'm just not into a lot of the social media platforms. But the ones that we are using, of course, I want to be able to protect them and keep an avenue, an outlet for this information to get out there. So anyway, that said, like I said, I got a couple of marks against my account. And so when YouTube gave me that mark, they gave me a link to say, well, look, you might want to familiarize yourself because there are 5 different things that you cannot discuss, or else you're going to get a mark against your account. And one of the 5 different categories of information that you cannot put out is what they call misinformation. Now, number 1 underneath, this is category 4 of misinformation. It says elections misinformation. You may not post election-related content on YouTube if it contains any of the following. And again, I'm reading this directly from their rules. This is for your educational and entertainment purposes only. Okay? So you cannot post any material intended to mislead voters regarding the means, place, time, or eligibility requirements for voting, leading to voter suppression. Okay, I understand that. And then it goes on, has a couple of other ones here. Let me see. Footage encouraging others to interfere with electoral or democratic processes. Okay, I understand that. Anyway, here it is. False claims of electoral malpractices in past elections whose results have been officially certified, such as the 2021 German federal election. Why would they mention the German federal election? And then, comma, any past U.S. presidential election. So, if you want to talk about the 2020 election with Trump, you cannot. No, you cannot. Despite the fact that all this stuff that's coming out in Georgia and Pennsylvania and Nevada, and Colorado, no, you can't talk about that. Okay? So I just want to let you know that those are things that you cannot talk about. Okay, now we get into some real information here. The COVID misinformation. Content containing misinformation about COVID-19 that contradicts local health authorities, LHA, and the World Health Organization is frowned upon by YouTube. So if you say anything that is contrary to what, say, Tedros says with the World Health Organization, no, you cannot talk about that. No, you cannot. Okay, well, Tedros, he's heading up the WHO. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Well, here's a little background on Mr. Tedros.
The Executive Board appoints Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus as Director General of the World Health Organization.
Tedros Ghebreyesus is the World Health Organization's first Director General that isn't a medical doctor.
Oh, stop right there. He's not a medical doctor. Keep that in mind.
No Tedros for WHO! No Tedros for WHO!
The appointment to the organization's highest position was controversial, given that in his previous role as Ethiopia's health minister, Tedros was accused of covering up 3 major health epidemics.
Tedros is no stranger to controversy. As a former Minister of Health in Ethiopia, he has been accused of an alleged cover-up of 3 possible cholera epidemics.
Prior to his appointment, Tedros was a high-ranking member of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, a brutal and corrupt political group responsible for crimes against humanity, including bombings, kidnappings, tortures, and killings.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Yes, he has been charged with crimes against humanity. Just wanted to let you know. That's a fact.
How does a man with such a controversial past score the top position at the world's most influential health organization?
How did that happen? How did he go up the particular food chain to become the head of the WHO?
I have known Bill and Melinda for many, many years now.
While serving as Ethiopia's health minister, Tedros became intimately intertwined with both the Gates Foundation and the Clinton Foundation.
The health minister of Ethiopia, one of the ablest public servants I ever worked with.
That's Bill Clinton saying the ablest individual he's ever worked with, and he's not even a doctor.
With the backing of the two most powerful foundations on earth and the full support of the Communist Party of China, Tedros was a shoo-in.
We will have many body bags in front of us.
Yeah, many body bags in front of us. Yeah, and he was, of course, talking about the COVID pandemic. All right, so that's a little bit of a background on Mr. Tedros. Now, he's the one, of course, that sets the guidelines as to what YouTube is saying you can or cannot say. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Again, this is for your entertainment and informational purposes only, just so you have a little bit of a background on how these guidelines are being set up. So, okay, back to this misinformation thing. You cannot say, your content cannot include claims that COVID-19 doesn't exist. Wow. Well, gosh, I guess we can't play the audio clip from Congressman Ron Johnson. That's sort of what he said. But I can't play that clip because I'll get a mark against my account. Okay, let's see. We can't talk about let me see. We can't say anything that disputes approved guidelines on social distancing. In other words, the 6-foot rule that they had during the pandemic. Yeah, we can't talk about that. Despite the fact that, yes, it's come out there that it's the guideline just, quote, sort of appeared. Okay. So we can't dispute that. So I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying that this is what was said. We also can't talk about the misleading information about how COVID-19 is transmitted. So yeah, that might be a little bit of a problem. So let me see here. Let me see. I played some of this clip yesterday. So let's see. How is it transmitted? You can't post any information that contains misleading information about how COVID-19 is transmitted. So with that, I have to ask, how do I deal with Anthony Fauci? Okay, Anthony Fauci, he put out some information. Give a listen to this.
This is not rocket science. We know exactly what we can do and what we should be doing. Please wear a mask.
There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
I often myself wear 2 masks.
There's an email from you concluding I do not recommend that you wear a mask.
Everybody should be wearing a mask when they're outside. People should not be walking around with masks. I wear a mask when I'm outside.
You don't need a mask when you're outside.
Wear a mask at all times when you're outside.
So even if you are vaccinated, you should wear a mask.
If you are vaccinated, you do not need to wear a mask.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. I mean, I don't have to go any further. Okay? So, it's okay for Anthony Fauci to have posts on YouTube talking about masks, whether you should or shouldn't wear a mask. But if you're not Dr. Anthony Fauci, you can't say that. So I just want to share that these are the guidelines for YouTube. Okay? And let me see. Let me see what other here contradicts the LHA or the WHO COVID-19 diagnostic procedures. In other words, the PCR test. Yeah. Dr. Kerry Mullis, the guy that invented the PCR test, took Anthony Fauci to task. But I can't play that clip. No. I'll get a mark against my account. Yeah. And then there's another one here. Yes, misinforms the public about the treatment of COVID-19. All right. Well, we all remember the horse goo. Yeah, the ivermectin. No, we can't talk about that. No, it's that was frowned upon, despite the fact that we now know 5 years after the fact that the emergency use authorization was given to the vaccine companies because, well, they were suppressing the information about other medications that have been around for a long, long, long time. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, fenbendazole. Yeah, we all know now that they actually work. But, no, you can't be talking about that, can't advise or, prescribe or anything like that. But again, these guidelines were put in at the height of the pandemic. But since that time, we've learned a whole lot more about what happened. But those guidelines and restrictions are still in place. So, anyway, I just wanted to share with you the hypocrisy. Can you smell it? Can you smell the hypocrisy? Is it curling your nose hairs? It's curling mine.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code RedPill101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by visiting our website, and I highly advise that you do just that. Go to TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and it'll take you down to an area where you can click on Get More Tank and get all the specifications and details onto why this fuel catalyst works so well in your vehicle. Yes, your engine will all of a sudden give you more power. When you hit the accelerator, boom, off you go. And while your engine begins to adjust to it, it begins to run cleaner, and like I said, more efficiently, more power. But the moneymaker is after a couple of tanks, you'll start to see improved mileage. That's money, folks. Have you noticed the price of gasoline and diesel going up? Yeah, I don't think you'd have to be sound asleep not to see it. I mean, just in the past month or two, in my area, gasoline's gone up $1. And it's like around $7 in California. So, hey, look at why does it not make sense to use Get More Tank? If you're getting 20% better mileage, and some people may see that, anywhere between 15 and 20% improved mileage, depending upon your make, model, year of your vehicle and your driving habits. I mean, if you're getting 20% better mileage, that means in one purchase, $20, you get 5 tablets, 1 tablet per tank. Do the math. That means the 5th tank is free. It doesn't make any sense not to be using Get More Tank. And yeah, it's not going to hurt your engine. It's not going to affect your warranty. No. All the information is there at our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and Get More Tank. All right, 33 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. And yeah, it's just, we're living in clown world. I mean, things are topsy-turvy, upside down, black is white, right is left, right is wrong. I mean, truth is lies, lies is truth. You know, that old saying, I'd never heard of it until about 30 years ago. Truth is hate to those who hate the truth. And man, that's really playing out right now. You want to talk about an Orwellian society. Anyway, in the news, the Epstein files have now been printed and bound into 3,437 physical volumes in a new exhibition space in Tribeca. Millions of pages. I saw the video. I mean, these volumes, they're like huge books. Huge books. And there's shelves and shelves and shelves, 2 stories tall, of these physical, again, 3,437 volumes. And it's called the Epstein Files Reading Room. Oh, my gosh. Listen to this. This is posted by, what's her name? Katie Fang. She went to visit the Epstein Reading Room, and here's what she had to report.
I had the privilege of being able to go before it's open to the public here in New York City to the Donald J. Trump Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room. It's an exhibition in Tribeca. It opens to the public this Friday. And it is the Epstein files. partially redacted, because that's how they've been released by the Department of Justice so far. And I guess we need more adjectives than just partial, right?
By the way, I'm going to stop this. Each one of these volumes is like a telephone book, a big, fat, 2 inches thick. And there's 3,400 of them. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
Legally redacted in some ways, messed up with redactions and others, missing millions of documents. But they've been bound. And as you can see on your screen, there are walls of these volumes of the documents, and they are heavy. They are 5+ pounds each, and just millions of pages of documents. It's 3,437 volumes that have been bound of the Epstein file so far. And I was invited to be able to see this exhibition space prior to it being made available to the public. And I went, and I had the chance to walk the space. It's 2 stories right now. I mean, that's how much space it needs for the 3 million+ documents that have been released by the DOJ so far. And I had a chance to meet with David Garrett, who, alongside some incredibly brilliant and thoughtful people, this whole reading room is the brainchild of David and these folks. And David and I walked the space together, and he explained why he, as the father of 2 daughters, thought it was important that this exhibition, this reading room, that it came to life. And that he shared my sentiment, which is when you walk in and you just see the rows and rows of volumes of these files, and that you're not watching them through a screen, and you're not divided from the tangible files themselves, that there is this impact that just hits you like a gut punch about what has happened here. And it makes you angry. I felt viscerally angry that there's only 2 people after this multi-decade international trafficking ring of child rape, that there's just Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, that have faced any measure of accountability for their role in those horrific crimes.
I'm going to pause it. Yeah, when she was recording that, obviously there was a fire truck going by, so it's not in my locale here. This is on the recording.
How is it possible, when you look at 3,437 volumes and millions of pieces of paper, and you're able to open those volumes and look at them, how is it possible that it's only been 2 people? How? Well, because money, means, and influence has protected people that are complicit.
Yeah. And I've been saying it on this broadcast since day one. If we want to solve 99% of the problems in this world, we need to release the Epstein files, and all of the perpetrators need to be brought to justice. Simple as that. This is a no-brainer. This is not rocket science. Because the people who were involved with this are subhuman. They are not, and I played yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene got the phone call from Donald Trump, and he said, you got to take your name off of that discharge petition. He says, these files, these files are released, he says, my friends are going to get hurt. Let that settle in. I'm sorry, you lost me on that one. Anyway, there is a woman by the name of Brooks. She posts on X, and her post is called Brooks Behind Borders. She had some very interesting information to share, and it has to do with the Epstein situation. Listen to this.
How is this Epstein file not front page news? So a man named Ken Turner was investigating a trafficking network in Mexico for 17 years. As it unfolded, it began to implicate Epstein, Richard Marcinko, who was a SEAL Team 6 commander, and multiple U.S. officials. And on July 27, 2019, so 2 weeks before Epstein supposedly himself, he sent an email saying, we've had another serious incident since an American shot the trial judge in our child sex trafficking case here. He and I both think this latest incident is tied to the fact that we have reached out to your team. Who on your team knows we are talking to you? Is it anyone assigned from NSA, CIA, or the U.S. State Department? Please understand, people's lives here are in jeopardy. We've already had 4 armed attacks against us. My partner has shot and killed 2 and wounded 5 American agents to date. Numerous white American agents are following us in vans assigned to U.S. embassies. Jorge was attacked and lost his arm. The president of Mexico is keenly aware of our case against Redacted and other U.S. officials. This case we have here is most certainly connected to yours. We have the proof. Our case will help bring a whole new dynamic to what you know and who's involved. Prince Philip is a small fry compared to what we have uncovered. And then somebody responds to his email and says, my task force is not affiliated with the intelligence community if you want to arrange a call time. Then on August 5th, so 5 days before Epstein supposedly himself, Ken Turner sends another email, so the guy from the first email chain, and it says, my nephew Logan Turner was shot and killed in the mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio last evening. I'm rushing home to be with my immediate family. All investigative work on Marcinko and Epstein is still in process, and we've uncovered more videos and photos of the 2 of them together in Mexico. Another attempt by U.S. Embassy security team was made yesterday when they stopped my partner and searched her car looking for the videos and photos we've uncovered that they told her could not leave Mexico. They were not in her car. Someone does not want this data disclosed. So what do you think? Could the Dayton shooting have been a warning to Ken Turner to stop investigating Epstein? Then on August 10th, so the same day that Epstein supposedly himself, he sends another email saying, just heard about Epstein. Based upon what we've discovered here and who was involved, we don't believe it was suicide. If you want a full deep dive on this with links to all of the files, just comment Mexico below and I'll send it over to you.
Okay, that's, again, Brooks Behind Borders. That's what she posts on X. And I tell you, there are legions of independent investigators that are scouring through the internet and pulling up all this information, and we've got Kash Patel and we got, the DOJ and, Bondi, she's not there anymore. But the point is that, the investigations, the real investigations are being done by real people living real lives. And if you're looking for official information from any of your government agencies or whatever, the 3-letter agencies, or even the 3-letter networks that are out there, you're not going to get it. It's up to us, folks. And as a matter of fact, there's a guy by the name of Mark Green, and he has a website called Remaking Manhood, which is, a counter-offensive to the toxic masculinity efforts that are out there. But he posted the following. Listen to this.
Jeffrey Epstein sold access to the bodies of little boys and little girls to politicians, to corporate leaders, and then he documented the acts that they committed so that foreign intelligence services could gain control over these politicians and corporate leaders in the U.S. And this is the world that the Israeli intelligence services fostered, contributed to, and took advantage of. Donald Trump's 10-year friendship with Epstein means that when Benjamin Netanyahu decided he wanted to attack Iran, Netanyahu didn't ask Donald Trump to join Israel's war against Iran. He ordered Donald Trump to join. Every decision Donald Trump makes about this deeply unpopular war will likely be based on orders from Netanyahu. Do you want to know what kind of nation Israel is? Israel intelligence services engaged Jeffrey Epstein to blackmail powerful people via the rape and murder of small children. And it is not possible that Israel was not intimately aware of each and every savage act, because detailed video and other forms of evidence were exactly the products that they paid Jeffrey Epstein to supply to them. So here's the bottom line. Release the Epstein files, because it is a national security issue. We need to understand exactly who in our federal government, in the Republican Party, in the Democratic Party, have been compromised by the Epstein class and by foreign intelligence services like that of Israel.
Yeah, I agree. There is no other solution. And by the way, Howard Lutnick was interviewed or interrogated or questioned in Congress yesterday. And, of course, all the other congressional testimonies, they have it on C-SPAN and you can see it on TV, blah, blah, blah. But no, not when Howard Lutnick testifies. No cameras, no video, no TV. I wonder why. And by the way, didn't Howard Lutnick have a townhouse right next door to Jeffrey Epstein? Didn't he purchase that from Epstein? I think it was for either $1 or $10, something like that. Some crazy stuff. But Representative, let me see, Ansari had this to say after the testimony from Howard Lutnick. Here it is.
After what we have seen so far in this transcribed interview, I feel very comfortable saying that Howard Lutnick is a pathological liar who is enabling the most egregious cover-up in American history. We have now gone through the timeline of events with him in detail, an excruciating detail, from when they met in 2005. This is Howard Lutnick and his wife meeting Jeffrey Epstein. He described it himself in great detail on a podcast last year where he said that they went to his home, they took a tour, and allegedly were so uncomfortable after seeing the massage tables in Jeffrey Epstein's home that Howard Lutnick went on this podcast to tell the American people that he himself, and my colleagues referenced the definitions he tried to change of what he meant there, but he said that he would never socially or professionally be involved or be in a room with Jeffrey Epstein again. Then in 2012, he took his family and his staff to Jeffrey Epstein's island. I focus my questions today on how he could have done that if him and his wife were truly so uncomfortable, especially when in 2008, we know that Jeffrey Epstein was accused and the sweetheart deal took place for soliciting a minor. Howard Lutnick tried to tell us in that room that he essentially didn't know any of that. I asked him, how did I, as a child at the time, see this all over the media about Jeffrey Epstein, and you, an adult who was this person's neighbor who had engaged with him before, how could you possibly not have known? I mean, the level of the lies that are taking place inside that room without video is unbelievable and part of this egregious cover-up. I recommend that every single American, when this interview is released, read the document in full.
Yep. I will wait with bated breath to see the transcript of that testimony. And she wasn't the only one. No, Representative Suhas Subramaniam basically had this to file after hearing Lutnick's testimony.
Howard Lutnick should resign. That was absolutely mind-boggling what we just heard in the room. He was evasive, nervous, he was dishonest. He would not admit to lying, which he clearly did in the podcast. He said he was never in the room with Jeffrey Epstein ever again after the first time he met him. Yet he then admitted that he was in the room with Jeffrey Epstein. I had to ask him whether he and I were in the same room just now, because I couldn't understand his meaning of we were in the same room together. And then he said that Jeffrey Epstein was a sick man, that he would never want to be in the room with him again. Yet he was in the room with him again when he visited his island where Jeffrey Epstein raped women, underage women.
How about the pedo
and he brought
who
his
got
kids and his friends with him to that island when he met with Jeffrey Epstein. He said he never met with Jeffrey Epstein again socially, yet he admits that was a social visit to his island. And so he was clearly being dishonest. He was clearly being evasive. And finally, he doesn't remember why he went to Jeffrey Epstein's island, which is also mind-boggling. He somehow remembers going to the island after pictures surfaced of him being at the island, but he doesn't remember why he went to the island. And we had the emails. That's why we found out he was at the island. This is absolutely absurd, and he should resign.
That's pretty powerful, too. As a matter of fact, I remember, it was a couple of weeks ago or something like that. Somebody was talking to Howard Lutnick, and they were asking him about the 9/11 attack. And he said that he was supposed to be there, but he couldn't be there at the Trade Center on September 11th because he was taking his son to the first day of school. Well, as it turns out, September 11th was not the first day of school for his son. It was September 6th. So he lied about that as well. So, and by the way, if you've ever seen, Trump on Air Force One and he's giving an interview or something like that, or he's, giving an interview here or there, Howard Lutnick is almost always right behind him, right over his shoulder. Howard Lutnick is right next. It's almost like he's glued to Donald Trump. So, we're living in a clown world, folks. No doubt about it. Let me see what else was there. Oh yeah, Jimmy Dore. Well, he was talking to Stu Peters, and he made a very interesting point. And I hope everybody takes it to heart to what he said. Here it is.
How about the pedo who got arrested in Las Vegas and then immediately let go back to Israel, and he'll never show back up? He was a high rank. He wasn't in charge of like the digital communications or security.
Yeah, he was. He worked for the cybersecurity directorate.
Yeah, and so we're ruled by criminals and pedophiles who have no loyalty to the United States. They have no affinity for the They don't have affinity for any country except Israel, and it's a weird thing to wake up to at my age. There's no way to vote our way out of this. If there's anything Donald Trump's last election proved, there's no way to vote your way out of this.
Wow. Think about that. There's no way to vote your way out of this. So what is left for the American people? If we can't vote our way out of it, and I shared with you some of the guidelines that YouTube says that you cannot discuss. We cannot discuss the results of the 2020 election unless they are in line with the official what's the word I'm looking for? Confirmation. There you go. So we can't talk outside of those guidelines. So if you can't vote your way out of this, what are we left? We've got a First Amendment, which is under attack. Obviously, I've been sharing, why we can't talk about certain things. This is why people say, unalived instead of killed. You can't say, you have to say grape. You have to say schmaxine. Yeah, we've got free speech in this country, right? Right? Can't talk about those things. Okay, so much for your First Amendment, right? And what about your Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What do you suppose they're going to go for next, folks? And we had a revolution over a 3% tax on a breakfast beverage, on tea. And now we got 50% approximately of your labor every year that's taxed away. Yeah, there's the income tax, and then you got all the other taxes that go on top of it. Property tax, gasoline tax, tax for this, tax for this, tax for that, tax. Yeah, it works out to be about half of your labor every day. And where's that money going? Where is it all going? Was it $17 million was put aside for Congress to pay off sexual abuse charges against members of Congress? $17 million, folks. And you can't find out, who got the money and why. Anyway, I didn't even give out the phone number here. 215-867-8255. We got about 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left. If you want to belly up to the bar. Am I going to get banned? Am I going to get thrown off of YouTube because I'm talking about this stuff and sharing the audio clips? I don't know. But I would hope that YouTube would update their policy and basically take into consideration all of the information that's come out over the past 5 years. Because I have no doubt that a lot of these restrictions were put into place, 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So, okay, there we go. All right, let's go to the phones. Okay, hello, caller. You're on the air. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. It's Dave in the Thumb. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little PO'd today. But, so what else is new?
Aren't we all? We've been scammed, shammed, and slammed, and, and it's all done at warp speed.
Yes. Scammed, flammed, and shammed, and body slammed.
Vote our way out of tyranny. We can't comply our way out of tyranny.
Yeah, you got that right.
So these guys have been planning this for a very, very long time, And I really, I don't know. I listen to a lot of stuff, and I'm pretty sure you've been playing clips about the data centers.
Yeah, hey, I tell you what, hold on a second. Whatever it is that you're doing to your microphone sounds like it's covered up.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, you've been playing clips on the data centers. I heard one this morning, and it was a guy from Ohio, and, we got Swami. Everybody look up what's a Swami. You remember the Hindus when they came over here with the Nehru jackets and all that crap?
Yep.
Then they were calling themselves Swamis. And Ram, he tells us who he is in his own name.
Yeah.
Ramaswamy. You know how he made his money, right? It was some kind of a drug that people died from.
Yeah, Big Pharma.
And, this guy is a piece of work. And, Mr. T. Rump, he's endorsing him for governor of Ohio, and he's in bed with these data centers, and, they want to drain Lake Erie. Yeah. I believe these data centers are, one of their ways to get us out of our homes, because they're going to drain all the water and all the electricity, so we'll be forced into these smart cities.
That's the point. Good for you.
Yeah.
You figured that out. This is get everybody into the 15-minute cities. That's right.
That's their goal. And, and Trump's backing those too. He's got a big one going in that he's endorsing in Arizona. And, yeah, we're in big trouble, people. And if we don't, we got to support the militia, and we got to join the assembly, the Jural Assembly, the General Jural Assembly.
Yes.
Check it out, folks. We meet here in Michigan, on a monthly basis in person, and we meet weekly by phone. And there's a bunch of states doing this. And if we, the people, those founding fraudsters, they didn't intend for the people to be we the people. It was them the people and their posterity. But if we don't take hold of that and become we the people, these guys will handle us and put us in these smart cities and eventually kill us with all their new technology. So
absolutely.
I know we're running out of time here, Dave, with the show, and I just wanted to chime in and as I'm yelling, as you're saying, we can't comply or vote our way out of this. No, we can't. I'm not a voter. I haven't been for a long time. And, we used to be called qualified electors. But that was only 1% of the population was actually allowed to cast a ballot in any election here on this continent. And, then they made us registered voters, and anybody registers, whoever you're registering it to becomes the owner. So anyway, I'll yield with that, Dave. I'll see you around. Well, thanks for your show.
Well, I appreciate your contribution, and you're absolutely right about the Jural Assembly. As a matter of fact, I'm involved in the Montana General Jural Assembly myself. And so I'm very much aware of that, and I would encourage all of the listeners out there to look into the General Jural Assemblies, because this is the only constitutional way to get our country back. And I don't know if we've got enough time to be able to assemble them all. So
well, and besides that, once you do that, before you do that, look up your local militia, the unincorporated militia, because that's who's going to fight this war when they bring it to our doorsteps. Okay, guys, they're not bad people; they're good people. Most of them are. Look up Mark Hornke, LibertyTreeRadio.org, LibertyTreeRadio.org. Mark Hornke has been supporting the militia for a very long time. Oh, look up the video that he made like 35 years ago.
Yeah, I remember. I go way back with Mark.
America in Peril. America in Peril. It's 2 hours and it's 3 parts. And it's on YouTube.
Okay, listen, I'm out of time, Dave. I'm out of time. The music's playing. Hey, thanks for the call.
Okay.
All right, be good. All right, yeah, he's right. Yeah, I go all the way back. Mark Kornke, John Stadtmiller. I remember that whole thing 30 years ago. So, anyway, that said, it's going to wrap it up for today's Thursday edition of the WTF Reports. If you're listening on Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, or YouTube, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, spread the word. Word of mouth is the best advertising. And do business with our sponsors and advertisers. That's a big help. That said, it's going to wrap it up for today's program. I thank you all for your listenership. And until tomorrow, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. Take it easy, folks. See you tomorrow.